College of Arts and Sciences. So with further ado, I'll turn it over to Laurel. Thanks.
Thank you very much for being here. Can you all hear me? Nod your head if you can't hear me. Just kidding. It is my honor and my privilege to welcome you today to the Equity Research Corner's Open House. I want first to convey the apologies of Gary Ostrander, the Vice President for Research. As many of you know, he had surgery on his foot last week. He's at home recovering. I can assure you that he would much rather be here with you than sitting quietly at home. I'm going to be very brief today in order to make sure that you have time to explore all of the fantastic things going on in this building. Really, the main thing that I want to talk about is that this building is a powerhouse. It exemplifies exactly what the Office of Research hoped it would one day be. What we've done is we've gathered here a group of really distinguished researchers doing high caliber work, and the goal in housing all of them together was to create a kind of informal incubator in which everyone you bump into in the hallway is doing innovative, fascinating, cutting-edge research. We've succeeded beyond our wildest expectations, and we're thrilled to be the landlord for such an amazing group of tenants. I'm going to hand it over to that group of tenants in just a moment. I want to talk for just a second more about what this equity research space is. The institutes and centers housed here share a vision of increased access and treatment in the areas of health, social justice, and education. There's some overlap, of course, among these three and among the institutes themselves. The health centers, very broadly speaking, focus on biopsychosocial risk and resiliency factors in order to advance work to evaluate and understand the social, institutional, and environmental barriers that face vulnerable populations through their research and policy work in pursuit of social justice and equity. Through research and advocacy. Those with a social focus also work to understand social, institutional, and environmental barriers. And last but not least, the education-based centers are addressing systemic and structural barriers across the spectrum of development and within systems of learning to promote and enhance equity in education. Before I cede the stage, I'd like to recognize the centers and their directors. Each one of them or a representative will come up and talk to you also for a brief moment. The Center for Translational Behavioral Science, Center for Indigenous Nursing Research for Health Equity, the Florida Center for Reading Research, the Learning Systems Institute, the Risk for Anxiety and Depression Lab, Health Equity Research Institute, the Institute for Justice Research and Development, and the Florida Center for Interactive Media. So without further ado, I will introduce you to Dr. Sylvie Nahr, who is the Director of the Center for Translational Behavioral Science. Thanks.
So this is supposed to be brief, like 1 minute, so that you have time to visit, and then my office will be open to talk in detail for anyone who wants to come visit. I'm from the Center for Translational Behavioral Science. Our focus is on translating behavioral science into interventions to improve population health equity. So everything we do is around taking behavioral science, developing new interventions, and translating them to the community with extensive community engagement. I want to especially thank Sarah and Julia around here for organizing this entire corner, leading the planning committee, and the centers have been just amazingly collaborative and involved, realizing that some of these centers just started, maybe a year or two ago, and have grown tremendously with the support of everyone here. So thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is John Lowe, and in honor of Native American Heritage Month, which is a national heritage acknowledged, proclaimed by the U.S. government, November is, I would like to introduce myself in my tribal language, Osio Tahiti, Ishwakakone, Chalaki, Jani, Wadong. So on behalf of our center, the Center for Indigenous Nursing Research for Health Equity, we are the first and only Native American and Indigenous nursing research worldwide. And so it is really an honor. I would also like to do land acknowledgement, and so I would pay my respects and acknowledge the original Indigenous people of this land that we stand on today, who are past, present, and future. Mostly they are not here because of genocide experience and forced removal, so we really want to pay our respects for the original peoples of this land. Thank you, Wadam, and we look forward to seeing you upstairs on the 3rd floor.
for Reading research.
Hi. Good morning, my name is Nicole Patenteri. I am the Associate Director of the Florida Center for Reading Research, and on behalf of all the faculty, students, staff, researchers, and community members who are partners with us in all of our work, we welcome you here today. We are a center that is focused on using science to improve reading for everyone. We recognize three things. Reading is fundamental. It's fundamental to all aspects of life from birth throughout adulthood, and therefore it is critical that everyone in our society is a reader and using reading to improve their outcomes. Secondly, we know a lot about how to make that happen. We know a lot about how to teach children how to read. We know a lot about how children develop reading. We know a lot about how reading matters to outcomes and well-being throughout life. What we don't always know so much about is how to create conditions that ensure that all children are reading, where we can guarantee that success and that success manifests in life. That's going to require research, it's going to require innovation, and it's going to require engagement with all of you to make sure that all of our children have all the necessary skills they need to be successful in life. And so we welcome you here today to learn about how it is that we are using research, innovation, and engagement to guarantee that all of our children in our community are reading well and thriving. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Milligan. I'm director of the Learning Systems Institute. The Learning Systems, it just so happens today, it's auspicious that we are celebrating our 50th anniversary at Florida State University. Thank you. The Learning Systems Institute works broadly in education development, both internationally and domestically. We run international development projects in education in a variety of countries: Nigeria, Ethiopia, Philippines, I forget where else, 8 or 10 different countries at the moment. This building is home to one of our major centers, the Florida Center for Research and Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Education. So I would invite you to come up to the 3rd floor later this morning and see the really interesting and important work our team is doing in developing materials, supporting teachers throughout the state of Florida and really across the United States in improving math and science instruction for pupils in the state of Florida. They're doing some very interesting work with 3D printing, developing curricula for 3D printing. We have a very innovative and creative group up there, so we would invite you to come up and visit with them, learn about what we're doing. Thank you.
Morning, my name is Greg Hychak. I'm a clinical psychologist and neuroscientist, and I'm the director of the Risk for Anxiety and Depression Lab that's just upstairs. So hopefully you'll come by and get a better sense of what we do, but fundamentally we're interested in brain activity and measuring that brain activity that places people at increased risk for anxiety and depression. We do that in the context of adolescence, where we know that adolescents are at massively increased risk for increases in depression. Also, we partner with North Florida Women's Care, and we have studies ongoing where we're looking at brain activity in pregnant women and using that to predict postpartum increases in depression. We also have studies just following depressed individuals longitudinally so we can identify a course of depression. So we're aiming to take kind of these fundamental neuroscience measures and using them to predict risk, and then also to develop neuroscience-based interventions, actually. And you can come upstairs and see some of our research assistants doing some exercise-based manipulations that we're doing to see how that changes some of these brain systems. So stop by and ask questions, and happy to talk more about ongoing studies. I'm also the scientific director of the MRI facility, which is at the College of Medicine. And so some of the work takes place across there too. So feel free to ask about that as well. Thanks.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Penny Ralston, and I'm representing 2 centers. And that's why I have gray hair. I'm representing, first of all, the Center on Better Health and Life for Underserved Populations. Our focus is to do intervention research which is informed by the community. We have a training program for our students to teach them how to do community-based research. And as an example of one of our programs, we have Health for Hearts United, which is a church-based program to reduce cardiovascular risk. It's an academic community partnerships that has been in place for 11 years. Also, I'm representing the Florida Health Equity Research Institute. This is a collaboration of 14 universities across the state. We do multi-university, multi-institutional, multi-university, multi-disciplinary, and community-based research. That's why we call it MMC, and I should have just said MMC. So come up on the second floor and visit those two centers. Thank you so much.
Good morning. So, I'm Carrie Pettis-Davis, the Executive Director of the Institute for Justice Research and Development, and I have with me Dr. Stephen Tripodi, our Associate Director, and Dr. Tanya Wren, our Assistant Director. We are very much a team-based science research center, so we like to travel in trios or more. So the Institute for Justice Research and Development is a research center that's dedicated to creating data-driven solutions to criminal justice reform. We are very much focused on improving the well-being of individuals and families and communities that are directly impacted by criminal justice in the United States. We are, I think I can claim, the largest research center on data-driven criminal justice reforms in the United States at the intersection of criminal justice and social work. We have a national reach. We've got team members, boots on the ground in 9 states right now, and projects going on in well more jurisdictions than that. So we're very much dedicated to high-impact research. There's 3 outcomes that we simultaneously seek to achieve, and one is creating a racial, economic, and behavioral health just criminal justice system. Second, substantially reducing the size of our criminal justice system. And then third, of course, making sure that we're improving the well-being of our communities. So come visit us on the 3rd floor. We've got treats and reports and competitions. Exactly. You've got to combine the two. And thank you so much for being here today.
Mike Ferguson, Florida Center for Interactive Media. Okay, maybe we're done then. Again, thank you all so much for coming. I encourage you to wander around for as much of the next 2 hours as you have time for.
I got your punch cards.
Yes. First, thank you all centers for being here, and special thanks to OVPR for sponsoring this event. I'm Julie Scheffler, I'm research faculty at the Center for Translational Behavioral Science. I just wanted to note that we have these scavenger hunt cards to help you kind of circulate throughout all of the different centers here today. And if you complete all of the items on the scavenger cards, you get a $5 coupon for Falafel Grill is outside, right? So the food truck outside, you have $5 off. So
Forget the cards in the front desk, right?
yes, the cards are right here at the scavenger hunt. Return those to the front desk, get a ticket, and then you get that $5 off. So enjoy. We really appreciate you guys being here today.